we're rolling.
We're rolling. What have we been up to? How you doing, big man?
So training-wise, or just generally?
Give me the gen. Give me the lowdown.
The general week, as we were discussing beforehand, is pretty similar. So still training clients using Zoom and into a bit of a routine with that. So that's good. That's some semblance of normality, because it looks like we're not going to be back in the gym until July. That was a bit of a downer yesterday. But yeah, Zoom's doing the job. So at the moment, all good. But in terms of my own training, I'm running. Running's gone up. Yeah, he's back.
He's back.
Yeah, I don't know why. I suppose the weather obviously helps a bit. But last couple of weeks, even when we spoke about it last week, saying that I'd lost my mojo a little bit with the running, this last week or so, nothing crazy, 3, 4, 5 mile type stuff. But it's nice to feel like you want to go for a run. Does that make sense? As opposed to, oh, I should be doing this. My fitness is going. It's all gone wrong. Yeah, it's probably the podcast last week that prompted me to start doing something a bit more, and then still doing all the mobility work and that in the house, and a little bit of strength work. But again, like yourself, pretty much body weight stuff. What about you? How's things training wise?
Interesting you say that, actually. So I started a job last week, so I'm now working 3 days a week for 8 hours a day. For me, that forces me into more of a training schedule, which is great. So I've got back to training early mornings, which I prefer, because you get up, you get it done, have breakfast, forget about it. Again, still following the Lift Off Home program, but we, like I mentioned last week, we do have some dumbbells. So today was actually the first day that I was like, I'm going to add in those pesky little things. So actually added in a little bit of resistance for my rear foot elevated split squats. And it felt good. It felt like I was stable, like I was really thinking about the mind to muscle, really activating where I wanted to work. And now, since Boris's announcement yesterday, we're gonna start loaning out a bit more kit. So hopefully over the next week we'll have a kettlebell or two as well, maybe even a wall ball, so I can start adding in a little bit more resistance, which is nice. But same as you with the running. So this week Sunday was the first day I didn't actually leave the flat, and I think that's the first day since this all happened that I haven't actually left the flat, and the guilt was immense of I should be doing this, I should be doing that, I should go for a run. I was just coming off my cycle, so I felt like crap. The weather was crap, and I am a fair weather runner as well, so if it's not sunny and if it's not flat, I'm not doing it. But the guilt I felt was horrendous. But chatted to Jack, and he was like, Aim, you're training 5, sometimes 6 days a week. You've just started a job. It was, again, kind of putting everything into context of why am I doing this? And then today I trained this morning. I had an hour before I started coaching, and I was like, right, you know what? I'm going to do that run. Fastest 5k since I've
good work.
And after a leg session. So it's really interesting, the mindset thing about I think a lot of my pressures are just ones I put on myself, and it's very easy with this situation to get into a habit of training every day because there's nothing else to do. For me it was a little bit okay, you know what? You don't need to do something today. It is actually more important to rest. So, that was my week last week. So, yeah.
How's kind of the food and the diet in general? Anything different from the norm, or pretty much in your standard routine?
Well, interesting, actually. So, very much standard routine. But as I said, last week I had my monthly cycle. I am female. I had a really busy day on Saturday. I was working at my new job, didn't have time to eat, obviously in a new environment. You haven't really got the time to just be oh, can I just go and get some lunch? It's very fluid. And then we decided we were having a takeaway on Saturday, which was fine. And I do that, and Jack and I do that regularly, and I enjoyed that with no guilt. Friday was the day I kind of went down the chocolate rabbit hole of overconsumption a little bit, to the point where I was mindlessly eating.
What are we talking? What are we talking about? What was the food of choice?
Have I ever sent you a video of our spread cupboard?
No, but it sounds amazing straight away. That feels like something for next week. We'll just get you in front of the cover, just like a little tour. And here we have a jar of Nutella.
It's not even Nutella, because Jack doesn't like praline. He doesn't like hazelnutty stuff. So I'll talk you through it. So we have.
give me a flavour. Give me a taste.
We obviously have multiple varieties of peanut butter in different size tubs. We also have, though, up until Friday, there was a Grenade hazelnut spread as well. That was mine. There is a Grenade white chocolate cookie spread. There is almond butter plain, almond butter blueberry trail mix. There is also crunchy spread, which is the filthiest thing in there, and I actually don't like it. There's Biscoff spread. There's also a like one of these skinny spreads, chocolate orange spread, which is just ridiculous. And like when I'm really out, like I say out of control, when I am mindlessly eating to the point where it gives me guilt afterwards, I'm spooning.
It's jar in one hand, spoon in the other.
Yeah, and I know this is something that like a lot of, I'm going to say women, but maybe even men really struggle with, is like that overconsumption, that while they're doing it, they're like, I don't know why I'm doing this, because I'm going to feel ridiculous after. I don't even want anymore. It's the habitual cues. It's the dopamine hit. It makes you feel good. You're trying to satisfy another need, which for me was emotional and a craving because I was hormonal. So that was Friday. Sunday was a little bit better, but again, I ate a normal amount of food, but because I was sat at a desk all day, so I did a 5-hour online course, which was hosted a webinar online. Yeah.
That's a beast.
Yeah, and then the weather was crap, so I didn't leave the house, so I consumed a normal amount of food, but the guilt that came with that was quite ridiculous. But then I said something really interesting to Jack yesterday, and I think maybe, I don't know if other women, and I speak specifically about women just because I know women suffer from this slightly more than men, but you know, you might be able to shed some light on this as well. Since being in this lockdown, like I said last week about how I've always valued my body, and I've always, you know, placed value on it as how it looked to the outside world, even though I know no one gives a shit. Like, it's always something that I've taken pride in. I've really lost that side of me that compares myself to other people since being in this lockdown, because I'm probably not seeing people as much, but also because, you know, maybe we are a bit more conscious of what we're taking in online, and I have taken the steps to unfollow a lot of people that make me feel crap online, but also I'm probably not even looking in the mirror as much as I would before, and I don't know if my body's changed. It probably has changed a little bit. I don't care if it has.
Yeah.
But like I haven't analyzed my body the same way that I think I would have done if I was going out into the outside world every day. And I just thought that was very interesting to notice in myself. Like, have you noticed anything like that? I don't know if that's something you've suffered with in the past before. Or...
Yeah, definitely the like I think everyone does it a little bit, like comparing to other people. I think it's kind of human nature, and that doesn't necessarily mean that's a bad thing. So like a really good example, obviously, like the world deadlift record was broken last week.
Yeah.
So I've got, I don't know what 501 kilos feels like, but obviously having lifted, it gives you some perspective of, oh my God, that's insane. I struggle to comprehend that, and I kind of know what like 100 kilos feels like, and I can't get my head around like 5 times that. So you think there's like, not that I'm like, oh, I wish I could do that, but there is like you make that comparison because you're like, shit, that feels like that when I lift 100, let alone what that must be. You can only speak from experience, and I would say the comparison thing, I probably deal with that more with women,
Mm.
working with women. That they tend to be. I've just had that conversation. I know how that conversation goes,
Mm.
and when I picture myself having that conversation in my head, it's normally with a female client. But there are a couple that I'd say guys are more focused on numbers and lifts,
Yeah,
and women a bit more on look.
definitely.
Not all the time, but like all of this stuff, I feel like you have to caveat it with not everyone, not all the time, but but you can only speak with who you've worked with, and I'm sure maybe men feel that, but probably a lot less likely to actually admit it. It was a good few years into working as a PT, and then like the kind of phenomena of like younger lads being like, I want to look like X started happening, and I was like, oh, like name, like Brad Pitt in Fight Club or whoever, like someone who's got that kind of generically kind of lean athletic physique. And then as the years went on, it's like, I want to look like X bodybuilder, and
Yeah.
that's a whole different, different conversation. But that is that does happen more, I suppose, with men and women, I suppose, and that's just because we're exposed to so much more images of what the quote unquote perfect body
Yeah.
looks like.
Yeah, but it's with women, it's really bizarre. It's not even like it's a comparison thing, but it's like, oh, her bum is smaller than mine. But it's also the other way. Like, I posted a video online the other day, and it was just, I think, I can't remember what I was chatting about, but I just had a sports bra on and I had a little roll over my leggings, like everyone does when they sit down. And I got loads of messages, and I like pointed it out and was like, by the way, everyone has this when they sit down. Like, I have, you know,
Yeah. If you've
I
got
have,
any body fat whatsoever, which
yeah,
you should do
yeah,
to be alive, you're
yeah,
gonna have that.
exactly. And I was like, I have visible abdominals, and I still have this when I sit down. And then like I got loads of messages from women like applauding me and just being like, yes, girl. And then one woman was like, one woman said, oh, yes, girl. And I replied and I was like, oh, we all have it. And she was like, yeah, but I have more of it than you. And I'm like, well, you have more to love. And like, that was the only response I thought I could actually make. But like, so what? Like, it doesn't matter how much of something you have, who's bigger or smaller. Like, we all are who we are. And I suppose, like, reflecting on the whole point of this conversation as to what's come out of lockdown is, I just think and we're going to move on and talk about what is health. For me, like, health is having a healthy relationship with my body as well. And if that's one thing that I really want to try and take with me out of this, it's that you were happy with your body when you were in lockdown, like regardless of what you thought you looked like or whatever the outside world thought you looked like. You
Yeah.
could look in the mirror during lockdown, whether you were a kilo heavier than you were before, or 2 kilos or 2 kilos lighter, and you were feeling yourself, like, like, and you didn't compare yourself to anybody else. You were just you. And I think that is such a healthy attitude. And I really know that when we come out of this, I'm going to have to work hard to try and maintain that attitude. But I just thought it was just really nice for me to sit back and kind of like go, nah, that's cool. I haven't done that in a while.
You've nailed that, Rambo. You've nailed that on two fronts, because both two things that you mentioned there. One, so what if someone's bigger or smaller? Because we're going to kind of talk about Adele and her weight loss, and that is we'll talk about the diet she followed and stuff, but I think probably what's even more interesting to me is like the response to it and what people thought about her losing the weight, positive and negative. And then, like you said, moving on, it feels like as good a place as any to move on to what is health and discussing health, because it's something that you brought it up last week, and it's something that I try and instill as like almost like a base level in clients. Like, so whether you're looking to, whether it's a fitness related goal or an appearance related goal, having a baseline of good health should be, that kind of needs to come first.
Definitely.
But before I go too far off down that particular rabbit hole, we talked about how do you define it? How do you define health? The
Oh, wow.
floor is yours. The
Oh.
floor is yours.
So if you Google like what is health, there's a lot of different things that come up. But obviously we come from the nutrition based world, which I'd like to think is most people in this world are evidence based. So we like to think that we practice with a certain amount.
Good luck. Good luck with that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. So we practice with a certain bit of ethics and morality. So there are certain parameters and measures of health, quantifiable measures of health within the medical profession. However, for me, being healthy is being physically able to do what I want to do without injury or risk to myself. It's about being in a place in my head that I can eat what I want without guilt. I can enjoy social situations with my friends and family and my boyfriend. I can choose the most optimal foods that I want to eat because I am lucky enough to have the finances available, and that does underpin a lot of things. I have wonderful friends. I have people in my life that I love. They keep me healthy, and I have a good relationship with myself. And like I've just said, myself, my body, my mental health, which I have worked on as well over the last couple of years, definitely.
Yeah.
And anything that forces me into a place of extreme, one way or another, with any of those things, finances, friends, relationships, food, body, physically, that to me is not a place of health. That's probably the best that I can put it. And I hope that makes sense. But
it does, but it's like that's just so all encompassing, right? Because I would say I mean, you could ask 100 different people and you get 100 different answers. And you're right, you can go the medical definition, which, we probably both looked this up, but that, freedom from disease or illness and vitality and having vitality and vigor. I think that's important. I think if we're working as if it's first and foremost as a personal trainer or a coach, then like I said previously, if someone's morbidly obese and that's having a negative effect, and they're type 2 diabetic, whether they can, striving to run a 5K, that might be a good kind of physical fitness goal, but I'd be remiss, or I'd feel irresponsible if I didn't say to them, do you know what, actually, we've got this health concern here, and especially if it's brought up in the consultation and it's something that they want to address, and maybe they think, I need to run the weight off kind of thing, and I might say, actually, we need to have a look at the nutrition as well, so we can still get fitter. And a lot of the things kind of go hand in hand. So if fitness and strength is going up, there's a really good chance that health is going up as well.
Yeah.
And I think for most of the people that we work with, especially general population, if someone's getting fitter and they're getting stronger, disease risk goes down. So almost by default, you're giving them a healthier outcome. But when you start drifting into mental health and stuff, I think that's just a completely different. That's a lot harder to pin down.
Yeah,
I would say, and it's probably that's not one you can kind of sort out with a training plan and some periodization. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That one might be slightly trickier. But I do think with health, though, I think that knowing that there's the medical definition, and that's very cut and dry. If you're, especially with corona at the moment, and people talk about disease populations or high risk populations, well, they're health markers that the government and the experts are looking at. And this is a negative health marker, you have to stay home. And I think if you have got any negative health markers, whether it's blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, maybe even early onset of arthritis, something like that, there are things that you can do physically that will improve that within weeks.
Yeah.
We're not even talking about, we're not talking about the 5 stone weight loss, which is more of a long-term thing. There's things that we can do as coaches and trainers that improve someone's health almost, we literally within weeks.
But then the capabilities for that to make you better mentally as well are ridiculous. So, the studies that have been done for exercise in terms of mental health and well-being are just crazy. And then obviously like the line between physical and mental, or I don't really even want to say mental health, but the line between physical health and all other types of health, you know, when you, it's, they call it, don't they, the sickness wellness continuum. Like,
yeah,
it's often like we've got things like orthorexia, which is like an unhealthy obsession with being healthy. You know,
yeah,
I've definitely associated some of my behaviors with that in the past. And then you think about athletes are at the, you know, the peak of their physical performance. Is their lifestyle healthy? Well, obviously not, because it's not sustainable for long periods of time, you know. And then you've also really tapping into what you just said, like, yes, you've got somebody who might present to you with they're morbidly obese, so they've got type 2 diabetes, and you can just make, you know, as long as we've got clearance from a doctor and they're referred and everything's fine, like we can take very small actionable steps to get them better again. But then you also might have someone who comes to you and they're like, oh, I've got a BMI of 34, but they've got no significant health marker.
yeah,
And
exactly.
they're like, do you know what? I've got a great relationship with food. I love my body. I exercise because I bloody love it and it makes me feel strong. And I'm healthy. Like, so it's like the health at every size movement, which again is another kind of conversation, but there's real different parameters on this like U-shaped curve that is just constantly swinging. So it's, you know, health is a real kind of, it's the thing we talked about last week. Like, if you are, and it's all these memes, why waste 95% of your life to get 5% smaller? Like, if you are driving yourself into a place of unhealthy behaviors and practices just to see those 6 abdominal muscles for 6 days on the beach, are you going to be able to enjoy those 6 days on the beach anyway? And what is the purpose of that? Why are you doing this? Like, what is the why?
Yeah,
And if you
because
can justify that, then that's awesome. But, you know,
that's the quandary, I suppose, and it doesn't, like, it might be hard for people to get their heads around this, but like if you've got someone to like draw an image of what they consider like a healthy individual would be, it's probably going to be someone who's ripped,
yeah,
you know, like 6-pack, kind of Adonis, very little body fat. And, you know, someone who's unhealthy is probably going to be overweight, maybe smoking. Do you know what I mean? Like, we associate, and generally speaking, like, obviously, like, if you're, I don't know, if you've got like visible abs and you look like you're in good shape, you probably are. You probably haven't got there like by accident. Like,
yeah,
you probably lift weights, you probably train, you probably exercise on a regular basis, but you cannot tell, like, under the hood, so to speak, what is going on up there. So someone can be like the epitome of physical health and actually mentally be really struggling. And I think, like, when we meet people in the gym, like, we are, again, this might be like news to the majority of the population, but we're so skewed with who we meet. We are going to run into those people in our environment a lot more. Like, to us, it probably feels like quite a big deal, because there's a lot of people that we run into that you'll have conversations with them and you're like, oh my God, like, this person's kind of all or nothing with their health. Yeah, that kind of orthorexic tendency is too hung up on food, too hung up on not missing a session, can't enjoy social activities, all that stuff. And then the flip side of that is you can get someone who's BMI of 32 and they've got no underlying health conditions whatsoever. And the thing is, it's what doctors will do this as well. Like, if they get someone in and they're, you know, taking the blood pressure and doing like a health check, and the BMI is 32, the doctor will say, right, well, Mr. Scraggs, all these tests come back absolutely clear. You are a bit on the heavy side, though, or however they phrase it. Hopefully they've got a half decent bedside manner, you know. But I have to inform you as a doctor, like, basically doing my job, that being obese is a risk factor for type 2 diabetes, that cardiovascular disease, go down the list. So even though at the moment there's nothing wrong, we're all good, I have to inform you of this. If you can get the weight down a little bit lower, you're probably going to have better health outcomes, because, you know, en masse, this is what the data shows. But you are always going to get people that it's not a straw man argument, but it's that like the exception doesn't make the rule. Like just because someone, it's like when people when you do the interviews with like the 110-year-old, and someone sticks a microphone in their face and it's like, oh, what have you done? And then I've smoked 40 a day and I drink whiskey every night. And then you're like, see that person's all right. It's like, yeah, I know that's one person, but that doesn't mean that we should all smoke 40 a day and start necking down whiskey. But I think we can kind of move it on to Adele if you want now, but it's very difficult to make a health judgment just by looking at someone.
Yeah.
Incredibly difficult. And actually you can't do it.
Yeah.
Without having some kind of sit down with someone and a background knowledge and some kind of context of what they're working with, you do not know.
Exactly.
And whatever position you find someone in, someone who's overweight, someone who's ripped and a little bit on the orthorexic side, you might meet them and they're in the process of trying to do something about it. So when people say, oh, that person's lazy, oh, he's obsessed with training, maybe they're trying to do something about it. So actually stepping back and, I don't know, like all this stuff is like have a conversation with someone and kind of find out where someone's at, enact some type of empathy to try and understand where they're coming from and then move forward. But I love the health question though, because when you it's a really good one to ask clients. I find like, what do you consider healthy? And just let them see what they say.
Yeah. And like, I've had clients say to me like, oh, I'm like, so we're working towards this goal, whatever the goal is. It doesn't even have to be fat loss. Like my last client was a performance client. So like working towards this performance goal. Oh, I'm going out on Saturday. Like, what do I eat? And I turn around and I'm like, you eat whatever you want. And they're like, what? Why?
Yeah.
Why is Amy telling me to eat whatever you want? I'm like, what is the purpose of you going out for dinner? Okay, I'm going out for dinner because it's my wife's birthday and we're going out, we're going to this restaurant, it's our favorite. So what can I eat? I'm like, you eat whatever you enjoy it, you eat mindfully, so you enjoy the food you're eating, you have a glass of wine if you want a glass of wine, and then the next day is a new day and you're still working towards your goal. You are what you repeatedly do, not what you do that one time that you think you fell off the wagon.
Yeah.
And that is, I would worry more from a client that said to me, oh, I went out on Saturday for my wife's birthday and I didn't have anything to drink. I just had water and I ordered a chicken breast and I made them do me dry rice and I just had a portion of broccoli as well. And there was bread on the table and I just didn't have anything. And I'd be like, well, that sounds really boring. That sounds really fucking boring. It was your wife's birthday. How did she feel about that? Because I've been that person and like it's not, that is not healthy. That is not a healthy outlook on life if you are working towards a goal within an acceptable time frame. If you are an athlete or a body prep bodybuilder and you've got a competition goal and you need to be in that 0.1%, then fair enough. But for the rest of us, health to me is being able to sit on the sofa on a Saturday and enjoy a glass of wine with my boyfriend. And there was a long period of time where I didn't feel able to do that. And I know there's a lot of other people out there that feel exactly the same. Coaching someone to a place of health that does show those outlying health markers, like you've said, like, oh, you're a risk factor for type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, hypertension. Coaching somebody to come back from that place sometimes, can be even harder because you don't want to coach them out of those things because they are, those things are conducive to a healthy lifestyle, but they have to appreciate how excessively participating in those kind of behaviors has led them to that point. And I think with our health, it's a real point of personal responsibility.
It's almost like when you take people on, so like what you were saying about whether it's like bodybuilder clients or elite athletes, that's an important caveat because there will be times when, or even let's pick someone who's got to make weight. So say like a boxer's got a fight coming up and it just so happens that a week before the fight, it's his wife's birthday and they go out. Well, guess what? For him to make weight, he's probably going to have like the chicken breast and not drink and all that kind of stuff. Completely. But like you said, that's such a fraction of the population. But you could throw in bodybuilders into that. You could, if you've got a photo shoot coming up and maybe you've worked on it for months on end, again, there's caveats to all this stuff. But I think for most people, most of the time, you don't want to have to worry about it. And call it overweight and unhealthy. Like you've got someone who doesn't train, they've got all the poor health markers going, the disease risk for everything, and then you've got appearing super fit person over here who's a bit orthorexic and probably takes it all a little bit too seriously and just mentally cannot relax with anything. The person who's in an unhealthy state, you just want to say to them, look, I don't expect you to run marathons and enter bodybuilding contests. Just adopt a few of these behaviors. Just be a little bit more mindful. Just, instead of having 5 takeaways a week, have 1. Like all these like really simple things. Instead of having like Coke, maybe have squash. Like things that are not anything groundbreaking. And for the person who's like taking it all too seriously, you just want to say to them, you can relax a bit. Like you said, 1 meal doesn't make or break a diet, and it shouldn't do. And if you go into it thinking like that, mentally it is exhausting.
Yeah.
If every meal out, every social occasion is, it should be something that you look forward to. And if you're dreading it, me and you've probably been in a similar place where you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to feel like the pressure to, I've got to keep, tunnel vision. I've got to keep on the diet. And you do want to, like with all these kind of behaviors and stuff, you can't change them overnight. But like you said, if you can be there for a client who maybe that's what they're thinking, and you just almost give them permission. So initially, like they have to get permission from you, but what you hope is they give permission to themselves longer term.
And you've literally just hit the nail on the head there. It is, and it's kind of what I said last week about learning to trust myself, whereas, stepping away from my fitness pal. It's you hand the position over, you hand the power over to them and say, you are in charge. Trust yourself to make decisions that, and it's very easy to say, relax, enjoy yourself. If someone's in a place where they can do that, then it's really, really hard. And it's really, it's really hard to step out of that. But, give somebody, just telling somebody that you believe in them to make the right decision. And if they don't make the right decision, it's not coming from a place of judgment or punishment. It's just coming from okay, well, talk me through why you did that, and talk me through why you thought that was a good decision. And do you think now with a bit of reflection, you could maybe make a better decision next time? Or would you maybe do anything differently? Or maybe you just need to reassess the goal completely and just be like, you know what? Let's just reassess your why. Why are you working towards this? Why do you want this so badly? Like, what do you think is going to happen when you get there? What do you think is going to be the holy grail when you get there? Because the great thing about health is the holy grail of health is you never realize you've kind of got there. It's just a state that just happens.
Correct.
Like, you know
there
what?
You go.
This feels good.
That's it. That's the best way to think of it. It's a state. It isn't like an end point. Today I've achieved health.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like you can have all the health markers. They just kind of give you a reading as you go along. But there's something about health is like when it's taken away, it's only then a lot of the time when you realise it's the most important thing, because suddenly everything else pales into insignificance. Something like the roll over the jeans or not being quite as toned as you'd like or whatever it is, suddenly that becomes like the least important thing going. But that's an ideal world, and it would be great if we could all think like that all the time. But it's even if you've got a mechanism of, I've just got to remind myself of that. I've just got to have whether it's a routine or whether it's just I've got to wake up and kind of smell the roses. And actually, if I'm in a healthy place, then whether I run 10K in under 40 minutes or get 10 unassisted pull-ups or whatever it is, that's all like icing on the cake stuff. And it's like what you said about, telling someone to relax. You're right. Like it almost feels like we're saying it just to give an example, but it almost feels like almost too flippant. Just relax with it. It'll be all right. It's like someone who's depressed being like, just cheer up a bit. It'll be all right. Yeah. It's like, I wish it was, the overall message is just relax off. But how you go about that is like, it can be, some people might respond to it just like, oh, wow, I've never heard that before. Oh yeah, cool, I can relax. But most people, it's going to be, if you get someone who's down the rabbit hole of tracking everything, weighing everything, just fully in, it might be, right, we're not going to track for the weekend, or we're going to do a week off Fitness Pal, or we're going to do a week off the scales, or it might even be less extreme than that. It might be we do one day on, one day off, just to walk back like some of them behaviors that are great when you're like in analytical mode and tracking every last gram, but that's a hard place to be in all the time. It's just too much.
And the fact of the matter is, it's not necessary for most people.
No.
You're a pro bodybuilder,
Yeah.
or you have a really high performance goal. Even then, I suppose the higher the performance goal you have, actually, the less you probably have to rely on MyFitnessPal so much, to be honest. It's probably just about calories. I would say the only people that really have to dial in MyFitnessPal to the absolute gram are bodybuilders. It's just not a good place to be. It's just, for the average Joe, it's just not a good place to be. And it's like everything, we just want the quick fix, and we're being ruled by apps that tell us what to eat and how to eat, and go against our homeostatic drivers that actually tell us when we're hungry. Like, we are not trusting our own bodies. Like, don't get me wrong, if you have fat loss as a goal, you have to accept that there is going to be a little bit of hunger involved, but like, your body is a unit. It is a being. It tells you what you need. And like, we've kind of gone against that. And it's just, I find it, when you sit back and you reflect, it's just a little bit bizarre, really.
Yeah. And like you said, it's just a measure. It's just like one metric that you can, whether it's like weight or calories or protein, macros, all that stuff. It's just one little reading, and all of that stuff. You can have the spreadsheet and you can have it all laid out beautifully across like a 16-week, prep, but that has nothing on there about what was going on upstairs, what state you're at the end of it, what happens in another 16 weeks, like post competition, if you've been doing bodybuilding or something. Like, to say that's a marker of how lean you are and how much muscle you've retained potentially, but it's not a marker of health.
No.
Like, appearance and a marker of health, you can do the visual game and you can kind of make best guesses, but you can't know.
No.
You cannot know. Like, and that's, I suppose, and that's why I think health is a slightly broader. It needs to be thought of in slightly broader terms than just, oh, well, he's got a six-pack, he's healthy.
Yeah, but he's dead behind the eyes.
He's a bit overweight, so he's unhealthy. Not as simple as that. Not as simple as that. Speaking of health and size and people's opinions on that kind of thing, Adele, singer, for anyone who doesn't know.
Yeah.
How much is she? She has lost a ton of weight. Not literally.
7 stone or something.
7 or 8 stone, I read.
Yeah, 7 stone, maybe something like that.
So the short story is basically Adele's lost 7 to 8 stone and looks. I don't know where you first saw the pictures, but something came through on my thread and I didn't recognise her. Like, I saw the after picture first, if you like, and I didn't even know who it was. So it's safe to say that she's completely changed her physical appearance, and she's done that by going on a diet called the Sirtfood diet. As soon as I saw this, I obviously messaged Amy and said, "Check this out. What do you think of this?" And that's before I'd done any reading on it. And so we both did a little bit of digging around just to see. And actually, as the week went on, kind of more stuff started to come out about what she'd done and other celebrities that are using this diet and that kind of stuff. So let's go with the diet and how she's lost the weight.
Okay. So
take it away.
Like you say, you messaged me. And I was
Amy straight down the rabbit hole.
And I was like, right, leave it with me. Because, and I just want to prerequisite all of this with, I do not give a shit what Adele looks like. I think she is a beautiful woman. She was a beautiful woman at the size she was before. Same, I didn't recognize her in the photo that we've all seen, but she still looks beautiful. Like, I have no opinion on her body, her figure. I couldn't care less. Like, she's amazing. She's the most talented, and I genuinely do not care what she looks like. However, what I
Here we
do
go.
have an issue with is, so I went straight down the rabbit hole and started thinking, okay, this Sirtfood diet, never heard of it before. I'm going to see what it's all about. So turns out that all the research I read was done in rats. So obviously when you're doing any kind of scientific study about longevity, it's very, very hard to get any kind of accurate data from human trials because they're going to have to go on for a long period of time. The likelihood is that humans just cannot adhere to any kind of length of trial that's going to take that long.
You can't lock humans up and just get them to behave like rats. That's the takeaway here.
Very true. And it's a lot of these trials as well would be unethical when they're done in humans, which is why a lot of nutrition.
Imagine that. We're going to put you on this diet. We think it's good for longevity. You're in for 80 years.
Yeah. Crack on. That's why a lot of nutrition research is done in animals, because it would be unethical if it gets done in humans. So the principles of the Sirtfood diet is that there are certain foods. So mainly they are foods that are very high in what we know as polyphenols. So you're going to think really about our foods that are very brightly coloured. So we've enriched.
Red wine, please.
It is red wine. So we're thinking like dark chocolate, red wine. We've got kale, which we know is
not so much.
I love kale.
You lost me.
Kale.
I was with you for red wine and dark chocolate, but
have you tried Cavallo Nero though, like the black kale?
It is good.
It's really good. Saute it in a pan with spray oil, lemon, and garlic. Honestly,
I'm with you.
Ridiculous.
I take it back.
Thank you.
Take it back.
Thank you. You all know I love a bit of kale, and also one of the members of the gym sent me a recipe for peanut kale as well. Very good. You know. So anyway.
Getting hungry now. Carry on.
So basically, the diet does have scientific backing in that these foods have massive health benefits. So the principles of this diet are that, like, for the first 3 days, I've just got here, you restrict calorie intake to 1,000 calories a day. So it is a calorie restrictive diet that puts you in an extremely large deficit, okay, which is fine. Extreme calorie deficit diets are proven to work. However, they are very unlikely to be able to be sustainable long term. It includes drinking 3 Sirtfood green juices, plus eating a Sirtfood rich meal and snacking on antioxidant packed Sirtfood bites. For the last 4 days, you up the intake to 1,500 calories a day. So most people, for that, depending on height and weight, are still going to be in a deficit. And then you can consume 2 Sirtfood rich meals and 2 green juices, cutting out the bites. So it's effectively a juice diet made up of these Sirtfoods, which, yes, do have health benefits, that then will put you in a calorie deficit, so you will lose weight. It is a really restrictive calorie deficit, I'm struggling to say, so you will lose weight quickly, okay? Adele is a multi-million-pound, artist. She probably has a team of people following her around, making these juices, cooking her meals, bashing cake out of her hand to make it really easy for her to stick with whatever diet she wants.
Great image. No, you don't.
No, you don't. All right. So the thing that is this diet would work. Neither of us can argue that as nutrition professionals, because it puts you in a calorie deficit. This diet would work for anybody. The difficulty with a diet like this is sticking to it, because it takes out flexibility. It takes away all the foods that you would enjoy. And once your body gets to a certain point, you are going to crave those foods. I have no problem with the diet at all. I have an issue with the way that it is packaged and sold by the number of newspapers that then jump on Adele's amazing weight loss. With anybody that's been following Adele will know that she was a larger lady. She has not done this in 3 months. This has taken her a long time, and it's obviously come from a bit of a, maybe from a place of pain, because she had her marriage broke down. So regardless of everything we've just talked about health, she might have been healthy at the size she was before. Whatever her personal reasons for doing this, she's chosen to do this, and she's done it over a long period of time. You know, we cannot say whether she's done it safely or unsafely. However, the media has packaged up this diet. I mean, I've just put one headline here: your pre-Christmas diet, lose 7 pounds in 7 days, the healthy way, of the Sirtfood diet celebrities swear by. That is what is wrong with the nutrition and fitness industry, is that someone will look at that, who has yo-yo dieted their whole life, has a shocking relationship with food. They will do that for 7 days. They will probably lose half a stone, let's say, if they've got quite a lot of weight to lose. They will struggle. They will crave foods that they see their family eating. They also will have a lot of stress in their life, probably, if they're, you know, stuck in Corona world, having to homeschool 3 kids. You know, they might struggle to even get 4,000 steps a day. They probably don't have a lot of activity in their life. I just have such an issue with the way the media packages up diets like this and sells them and promotes them to Joe Public without having a clue about the, you know, the damaging mentality and the damaging behaviors it can actually instill in people. And I think I'd better hand the microphone over to you before I start making a flame.
I'm going to put in my other fully charged AirPod now for this one.
Sorry, was I going on?
No, yeah, it looks terrible. It looks like I basically took it out. Oh, here she goes. Let's put that away. It's because the battery life's not great, so I charge them in between in this.
Please let me hand it over to you. And what is your opinion?
Yeah, so Sirtfood diet in itself, there's nothing. Like, me and you are probably similar in as much as we haven't got anything against any diet or any approach, but it's how it's packaged and how it's sold. So I think the thing with whenever you get a celebrity that follows a particular plan, especially someone as prominent as Adele, and especially when she's lost what would you say, like a third of her body weight, like it's got to be something like there's a reason she looks. The difference in appearance is huge, right? So if someone sees that and they've got, say, someone who's watching that who has got like 4, 5, 6, 7 stone to lose, this is going to be like, you know, ding, 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 ding. I want in, take my money. And I suppose when anyone comes up to me, and I had a message like this morning saying, Andy, what do you think of X? Let's just call it X diet. Not Sirtfood, it was another one. What do you think of X diet? Like, does it work? Essentially, like that was kind of the premise. And so I'll get a version of that question, at least on a weekly basis. What do you think of X? Does it work? And the response to it, and Sirtfood you can group into this, is, yeah, your goal's weight loss, right? Yeah. Does it put you in a calorie deficit? Yes. Therefore, you will lose weight. So that's as cut and dry. So it does, in terms of weight loss, it definitely works. Like, if you eat 1,000 calories for a few days and then 1,500 calories for the other, and you kind of up the Sirtfood, so essentially like, good, healthy, like whole ingredient foods. So you're probably going to be cutting out processed stuff in there at the same time. Potentially easier to, if you are being strict with it, potentially, you know, that black and white thinking. So even though long term you're probably setting yourself up for a horrendous backlash, if you can keep it going for a few weeks and restrict these foods, you're going to get, you know, half a stone, another few pounds the next week. But it's nothing special. It's nothing that you should be paying. You shouldn't be paying money for, you know, like the Sirtfood diet book, because the only part that I would say is valid is the fact that it puts you in a calorie restriction. All the other stuff about, like, what was it, like activating the skinny gene or something like that, that doesn't exist. That's just something that's essentially been made up. And I would also argue, like, some of the quote unquote science on it is slightly sketchy, but people don't care about that anyway. People care about the weight loss. So if they go on it and they lose the weight, they're like, yeah, well, that worked for me. But then most diets work for people, but it's come revisit them when they've lost the weight. So Cambridge diet would be one that so this is not an attack on the Cambridge diet, but this is just having met a lot of people that have done it. They've all had incredible weight loss because it's like, you know, 500, 800 calories a day, and they've all had horrific rebounds. the majority. So there's maybe one person out of maybe like the 20 that I've met that haven't had that. So yeah, that's kind of my opinion on it. It doesn't bother me how people, if you want to do it, fine, but just be aware that it's not something that can be maintained in the long term. And
that is the thing. That is the thing, because people don't want a diet. They want the result.
Yeah.
They want something that's going to get them to the end goal. They cannot usually see past that, you know? So I've got a client at the moment who, her goal is body composition. We've just spent the first 4 weeks teaching her how to eat. So when she achieves her goal, she's not stuck in that diet mentality. And she's just like, okay, well, I've achieved my goal, but now I actually know how to eat. I know what foods are good for me. I know what foods I enjoy. I know how different foods make me feel. And I know what foods I should eat around my training. You know, like she's actually knows what she's going to do after. She already knows the aftercare. She already knows what she's going to do after she gets to the goal. My problem with diets like this is articles are generally written by journalists, not nutritionists, and they fantasize things like the diet allows slimmers to eat dark chocolate and drink red wine as they are high in sirtuins. And you immediately think, oh, I want a bit of that. If I can eat dark chocolate and drink red wine, I immediately want a bit of that. But the diet lasts for however long it lasts for, and then what? And then you're left with this group of people that are like, oh, well, what I was eating before was Doritos and Pizza Hut, so I'll just go back to that and it'll be absolutely fine. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. Unless you are one of either the young or lucky ones, you know, like, unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. Like, sustainable weight loss needs to be built around everything we were talking about last week, about habits, behaviors, like, you know, the foods that are on this diet, kale, buckwheat, what else is in there? Blueberries they were talking about as well. So if I went up to anybody that had any of those health markers we were talking about, so, you know, someone that's got a high BMI, you know, at risk of cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes and hypertension, and I said, right, for a week, I'd love you just to try and cook a few more meals at home, add in a bit of kale, add in some blueberries, and try eating buckwheat. They would probably have some benefits from those foods, because those foods are whole foods, rich in antioxidants, rich in micronutrients, and they've got massive health benefits. Things like this diet are not necessary for the 99% of the population that, you know, are probably looking for a diet or fat loss program. And that is my issue with things like this. It's just the fantasist element. And, you know, I just hope that Adele, I mean, she obviously has, I hope that she has done something like this dramatic weight loss properly. If she has adhered to this diet, then great, but you can pretty much damn well be certain that she had some kind of coach that was actually doing it with her, and it will have been alongside an exercise program.
Yeah, hopefully,
hopefully. I mean, she's not actually made a comment about it yet, has she?
Well, this is a like nice little segue there. So the fact that she hasn't said anything, to me, that to me is like a good thing, right? Because she's kind of just done this thing. She's just put pictures out, and it's like, what anyone wants to think of it, and kind of crack on. Like if she was coming out as like the new Sirtfood ambassador, I'd be a lot more critical. I'd be a lot more. Yeah, exactly. If in a week's time she comes out with a book, then I'll be slightly more scathing. But I mean, even if she
got enough money, it's fine.
even if she came out and just said, "Oh yeah, you know, a friend recommended this to me, and I found it easy to stick to. I've lost the weight now, and I'm kind of working now on whatever, like changing habits, and maybe she started exercising midway through. But whatever she does, it's like, yeah, kind of do you, and if it works, then great. I just think it's when, we look at it more as kind of exploiting the general public a bit. Not Adele, but like the diet itself, and the people that kind of promote it. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. So kind of moving away from like Sirtfood world and just to like the general response to it on social media. I mean, you always get this, right? You always get like the extreme kind of opinions either end of it, right from well done, Adele, you look amazing now. Like basically saying, yeah, almost inferring like you didn't look great then, now you look great.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing. So even like that can be well-meaning as well, but you know, slightly like she doesn't need to hear that. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, thank God that random guy on the internet now finds me attractive. That's what I was doing it for. And then there was the other slightly more bizarre reaction, which was not implying that she sold out, but almost like people being annoyed with her for, oh, she felt like she had to do this.
Yeah.
That, you know, like almost like it was like media pressure that she has to become thinner. But so going back to like one of the original points of like, you don't know, just like you can't look at someone and assess health. You can't look at Adele because she hasn't commented on it as far as I'm aware. I mean, maybe something's come out, but you cannot look at it and assess her motive without knowing why she's done it. Was it because she split up with her husband? Was it because she went to the doctor and had a wake-up call? Was it because a family member was ill who was overweight and she suddenly started taking her health more seriously? Was it just because her best mate did a diet and was like, oh, do you want to do it together? Who knows? Like we just don't know. So I think as a coach, when I looked at it and you know saw the initial picture and then you see like the before and after picture, I look at it as a my head first of all goes to like the project that would have taken and the amount of effort. So I can respect the fact that to go from A to B that's a massive change, even if it's like not the best start in the world. That's taken a massive lifestyle shift to get from A to B. So whatever reason she's done it for, I can respect like the effort to go from here to here. Definitely. So if I was gonna, again, it's unlikely I'm gonna get onto her Instagram and start commenting on her and patting her on the back, but like that, I respect that. The amount of effort that takes to do that is unbelievable. But where, why she's done it, all that stuff, it's just like you said, I don't care. and I say that not to be like, I care more like how people react to it. I think that's really interesting, and people's perceptions of it.
I care in terms of, I hope she's done it for her. I care because I hope she still feels the same way about herself in the body she is now. No, that's wrong, because if she might have been in the body she was before and absolutely hated herself, and if that was the case, then I hope she's just done it for the right reasons. I hope she just has the same love for herself regardless of whatever body she's in. I hope she doesn't use her body for validation and reassurance, and that's all. Then that just comes from I hope that comes from a caring place. I could not give a shit what she looked like. Some people were saying it like it would actually change her voice as well, which I found a bit bizarre. Like her singing.
That would be the biggest worry for me. Yeah. If the voice suddenly goes south, I'll be like, we need to get off this Sirtfood. That's why I can't sing. It's my diet. It's my diet the whole time. If I get on some alternative diet, maybe I'll have Adele's voice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you. I hope she doesn't give a shit, to be honest, about like what people are. I often think about that, like when someone gets uber famous. If you ever read, obviously, even just off the back of this, you go through the comments. I mean, some are horrendous.
Oh, people are disgusting.
I don't know how. Yeah, I mean, like that. I mean, that again. That's another rabbit hole. The social media commenting and trolling and stuff. But you kind of, I don't know. Like you wanted to have done it for herself. So regardless of the comments, it's for her. It's like water off a duck's back. Doing it for myself. Doesn't matter what you think. Yeah. Doesn't matter what Andy and Amy think. It's like, I'm happy in my own skin. I'm still making music. You know, like you kind of like, if you're any kind of human, you like wish the best for someone, right?
Of course.
I think that's probably like a theme of the podcast, like having, you know, caring for people and having empathy and just being a decent human. You kind of, you hope that she's in a good place. And yeah, fair play to her for the effort of actually doing it. Hat off.
Yeah. And I have nothing to add. I completely agree. Like, the effort and motivation she must have had to maintain for a long period of time, because, like, you know, to get to the stage she has now, she had a lot of weight to lose. Like, hats off.
Yeah. I almost hope she doesn't comment on it.
Yeah, don't. What's the point?
The best thing she could do is actually just be like, I'm literally just going to carry on, because this is just my body weight. This is not even worth going into. It's just, okay, oh, you've lost weight. Yeah, I have. Anyway.
My new single's out next week.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. That's it. That's all she needs to do.
Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
That feels like a good place to wrap it up.
That does feel like a real good place to wrap it up. That was wonderfully enjoyable. I'm glad I got a rant in.
Yeah, I enjoyed setting you up for that one and just letting you roll. That'll be the signal. As soon as that AirPod comes out, and go.
She's off again.
If both come out, that's when you got to start worrying. If you're like, hold on, or if suddenly I'm not here. If you're seeing that, you're like, oh, Andy, come back.
Oh, mate. Funny.
Nice one, mate. Nice one.
Ah, right. Cool.
We'll get on the case and get some topics. Like next week. Should we? It feels like we should ask people as well if there's anything they'd like us to cover.
Yeah. I mean, if anyone is good enough and takes the time to watch or listen to this, that would be amazing. Yeah. If anything crops up as a topic of conversation, or something you've seen in the media or seen on Facebook, Instagram, anything that you'd like us to, I was going to say bash out over Zoom, but that sounds a bit bizarre.
You've said it now, and I will not be editing that out. So enjoy that into the video.
It's in the trailer.
We're gonna, that's trailer worthy. We're gonna record these every Monday. You know, all being well, until there's some kind of change to the lockdown setup. But yeah, we'll record them on Monday. So if you see anything during the week, please let us know.
Yeah.
And I think we'll sign off there.
Follow all our socials, watch the video from last week, and yeah, we'll see you next week.
Yeah, at the end of this video, I'll put a link to some of the links in the description to like social media channels and where to contact us. And yeah, that's us.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
Take it easy.
Bye.
Enjoy the rest of your week.
You too.
See you later.
Bye.